Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our lecture about chess and checkmate in the Romantic era of chess. I'm here with you, Grandmaster Elshan Moradiabadi, the GM resident at the St. Louis Chess Club, and here we are with the games from the Romantic era. Let's first understand what we're talking about. What do we mean by Romantic era? Anybody knows? Any idea? Ashish? Excuse me? Okay, that can be romantic, but Romantic era, there is an era, that there's a word that, there's that very distinguishing word there. Okay.
I feel like in that era they played really slowly.
Which era is that?
Romantic era.
Romantic era? When is the Romantic era? There was a... Please, David.
Yeah, early 1800s to late 1800s.
You have to narrow it down a little bit.
1830s-ish to 1880s, 1890s.
So pretty much until the match of Steinitz Zukertort. Who knows when was that? Who knows when was the match? You know? Steinitz Zukertort? What's that? Yeah, I said that in the last class, but you listen, good. But which year was that?
1886.
1886. Yes. Ben Simon, the man in the arena. Okay. Yes, 1886 was the match between Zukertort and Steinitz. That was in three different cities, including St. Louis. So it was New York, St. Louis, and also in New Orleans, the hometown of the Paul Morphy. Steinitz insisted on having it there. So that until then. But the beginning, usually, the trademark, the important point is the London 1851, the first ever tournament. Well, I wouldn't say there were matches before that. There were not a tournament before that. And once they had 16 players, guess what they did? They had 16 players. How did they have the tournament? No.
Single elimination? I don't know.
Double elimination. Yeah. After the first round, actually. The last 8, they were playing double elimination. And yeah. So that we're talking about a very short period. So now we have to talk about what else? Okay, it just moved. All right. So let's talk about the characteristics of the games now. So this period is the same period as Romanticism in Europe, right? It's post-Enlightenment era, I think, if I'm not wrong. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But I think it's post-Enlightenment Enlightenment era, where the Romantic culture, music, and everything is just Romanticism was taking over everything. And chess was also an intellectual activity that was affected, of course, by the theme, the actual evolution of thoughts at the time. So they were doing a number of things in chess. You were saying, Ashish, let's start with it. What did you say? What kind of chess they were playing? Attacking, okay. There are a few terms I want to use. Uncompromising. It wasn't only about winning a tournament. Nowadays, if a GM is leading a tournament, he's 1 point ahead of the field, and he has white in the last round. They try to draw it down, make a draw, win the tournament, because you are there to win the tournament. Not in the Romantic era. You show up at the game, you play for the beauty and winning the game. That's what you play chess for. There was different meaning into the game. What's that? That's what, better? Yeah. Well, I don't know. But anyways, so there were a number of good. There were a number of tournaments. So London 1851, Vienna 1873. There's another Vienna that Zukertort won, and these are the 3 important ones. And there's another one that Steinitz won, which I cannot remember which was that. I didn't search that one up. But there are 4 tournaments, and then finally. The Vienna 73 was won by Steinitz. There's another one also won by Steinitz, but Zukertort wasn't there. And Zukertort won the. Actually, we can check this one. Let me just bring the Zukertort game. Is this a Zukertort? It's London 1883. So London 1883, Zukertort won this one, and 73 was won by Steinitz. There's one tournament between these two, which I did not cover, which I did not look at the tournament. And that one was won by, I think, Steinitz. But Zukertort was in that tournament. And he wasn't also in 73-1. I start with 73-1, the game between, who was that? No? Is this the one? Blackburne and Steinitz. So the Vienna 73 was a two-horse race, basically, between Steinitz and Blackburne. The funny thing is that these two guys paired against each other the very first round. And the way they were giving points to players was very, very odd. So each player, there were 12 players round robin, but they were not playing one game at a time. They were playing at least two games against each other. You know why? The first person who scores 2 points wins. So if a match is won, you win the first game, and if you make 2 draws, then what do? They give 1-0 for the guy who had won a game and drew the other 2. So if the one will win and then win, there will be 1-1. The third game would be basically a tiebreaker, because if they would have drawn the third game, then the match would be a tie. So that's how. So and now the next question: if it's 1.5-1/2 and you win again and you win 2.5-1/2, what would be the result still? It's still 1-0, which is a bit odd, right? Because the percentage you score should mean something, but it didn't mean anything. But anyways, okay, that being said, first round, Blackburne plays against Steinitz. So this is the game 1. And we see how well they knew to attack in those days. So Blackburne demolishes Steinitz in this game. So let's see. The Steinitz system. So he is reinforcing the knight on c6, and he wants to put the bishop on the diagonal, putting pressure on the center. That was his philosophy of playing, basically. d4, takes. This is considered simply benign nowadays. Knight takes d4. Now I don't know if g6 is a good move here or not. I have not looked at it yet, because g6 is you can put pressure on the knight on d4. Okay, since we're talking about classics anyways, you can check the match Larsen-Spassky. I don't know which candidate it was, and Larsen adapted this setup and won a very beautiful game against Spassky. So you can check that game. Spassky was playing just for he was just randomly played d4, which is not such a great move. So the best way to play is to play c3, d4, of course, right? Trying to have a massive pawn center. d4, he takes d4, knight takes d4, knight takes d4. But it also makes sense, right? You want to replace it with the other knight and open your bishop. And since you have less space, because given white already played the move d2 to d4, white is already committed to have 1 pawn less in the center. Not 1 pawn less, because he traded the pawn, my god. But he has more space. He's committed to the d4 score, so he has more space. So knight takes d4, queen takes, and he played knight c6. If bishop takes c6, what do you take back? With a d pawn, not with a b pawn. Because you want to trade the queens off and enjoy having 2 bishops, and your bishop will be immediately in the game. Just takes, you take with the d pawn, not with the b pawn. So he played queen d5, bishop e7. I'm not sure if that's the best move. For example, you can maybe play bishop before check. If c3, now back to e7, taking away the square from, so maybe this is maybe better. And now back here. Now I take away the square from the knight. And if bishop d2, I just can castle. Because I don't mind exchanging, right? Because I have less of a space, right? When you have less space, you are fine with exchanging material or minor pieces, basically, in this case, because heavy pieces is kind of out of question at this moment. By the way, my notes on this game is purely my own notes, because I thought at those days there were no engines, there was just human thoughts. So this is my thought as a GM player, and I did not check it with an engine. Okay. Bishop e7. Okay, that was so. Bishop e7 we played. Knight c3. Bishop f6. Bishop d2. Who is ahead in development? Who has more space? Well, yeah, white has one problem, which is what? Is what? Say it out loud. I didn't hear you. What did you say?
I feel like it's queen is in the middle.
Yes, exactly. Castle, long castle, and a6. Now, I mean, you don't want to really take that knight, do you? Bishop goes back, and he plays d6. So I'm going to win another tempo, right, with the move bishop e6. So black is fine now. Pawn to f4, g6. Okay, this is a bad move. I was thinking probably the move knight b4, harassing this queen. And after queen to there, maybe c5. It's already a little bit problematic. Bishop c4 runs into b5, and I'm preparing the move b5 and bishop to e6. If I go queen to h5, I probably can take, and now you have to take with the b pawn, because bishop takes the knight takes a2 check, right? So bishop pawn takes, and I cannot take you. I lose my knight, so I have to go back. I think this is interesting, to say the least, but I don't think black is worse here. Obviously, he has to still deal with a lot of issues, but I don't think black is worse. All right, so g6. Maybe he prepared the move knight b4. So, and now, but Blackburne, okay, we draw his queen just in time. So bishop g7, another tempo losing move. I mean, the position is very sharp. It calls for drastic measures. You have to go for it, something. Knight b4, bishop e6, something. You gotta do it. b5, you cannot just sit, because it's very sharp, because either side castle the opposite side, so they haven't castled the same side. So h4, h5, opening the files is something that will happen soon. And black has already committed to this move g6, which gives a hook to white. So white has a clear plan. Black doesn't. White's pawns haven't been pushed yet. So it takes us some time to reach out to them. That is why they say don't touch your pawns, don't touch the pawns in front of your king, especially when your opponent castles the opposite side. So bishop g7, h4, h5. Now, and do not push the pawns on the side you are weaker, which is in this case your king side. Why? Because you're under attack. The more you push your pawns, unless you are building a wall that cannot be broken down, which in this case will be actually shattered in a few moves, you should not touch the pawns on the side of your king. You should, good or bad, I think he should have played b5. Now, after h5, what do you think? Ben, any questions so far? Anyone? Silence? Complete silence?
Not complete silence.
Okay. Sure. Go ahead.
G4.
G4, okay. Any other ideas, opinions?
I'm looking at f5.
F5 gives away the e5 square to the knight. G4 is good. G4, I want the h file. So G4. Blackburne didn't hesitate to play this move. Nope. H takes G4. Let's go. H5, huh? Let's keep rolling. Bishop e6, takes. Now, what's the easiest way? Now we have to concentrate our power, our army for the final attack, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do we do that? E5, I go bishop f5 maybe, although he played e5, which is not bad, but it complicates matters. You saw the move. I think rook d g1 is the best move. If knight b4, I go queen g3, queen d7. Now if I take on g4, I'll get my queen traded, which substantially reduces my the power of my attack. But I don't need to do that. I go rook h4. Now I take, and then I'll have a triple. I will triple my heavy artillery along the G file, and that's just impossible to face. So bishop takes c3, bc, knight takes a2, just king d1. Doesn't matter. Our king is safe, but after bishop takes g4, rook takes g4 back, takes on g6, rook g7, it just destroys everything.
If you
Yes.
go a couple of moves back, where we move the pawn, like to take it, and after that, why didn't it took the pawn to create this chain?
What chain here?
Yeah, like on G file, if it takes the pawn, yeah. to
Take
create-
back.
okay.
I mean, I'm certainly not. This is a mate coming here.
Yeah, that's very easy.
So let's make a few moves. Okay, this and queen e8, and you play knight to d5. I think in this moment he should have done something like maybe d takes e5 or something. But this was bad. This queen f7 was bad. This loses. How so?
Knight c7, then queen g6.
What's that?
Knight takes c7, then queen.
Ah, I mean, we said romantic, but not that romantic. Keep looking, guys. I believe if I run the engine, probably Blackburne played like the engine, probably this moment. They knew how to checkmate in those days. Ben, anything?
Tom said knight g5, but that doesn't look to be possible.
Knight g5. Yeah, I mean, I would be delighted if I could move my knight to g5. Just that's illegal.
About knight f6 check by Desert Lightning.
Knight f6 check. Well, that's plausible, right? I mean, I'm trying to get rid of one of the defenders, right? What happens after takes on f6, and what does he suggest there? I mean, suppose I don't take the pawn. I play, I don't know, rook fe8.
Then rook h6.
Bishop f5.
Then rook d h1.
Take on f6 now.
Queen d.
Any comments?
Jeff suggests c4.
c4. I just made a comment about that on the side that you're under attack, and you see you're attacking the black's king, right? You're trying to checkmate, so you're weaker on the other side. Naturally, you cannot have it hardly ever happens unless your opponent really screws up that you have advantage on both sides, that you're winning if you play on either side. So that is the side you are weaker, so you're not going to really benefit by playing on the queen side. You don't want to really undermine your own king.
Have you already addressed f5?
f5, no, but I think I just take on d5, and you're forced. I'm up a piece actually, and there's no bishop. I thought you take back on d5, and I was like, oh, wait a second, the bishop is on d2.
Simple.
Oh, what was with knight f6 again?
What's that?
Knight f6.
Knight f6,
Bishop.
bishop f6, ef6, and then I just say rook fe8.
Yeah, then rook h6.
Bishop f5.
Then rook
The h1 you
Yeah,
mean.
the h1.
Queen takes f6,
Then queen b3,
king f8.
king f8.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you play rook a2.
F8. Go ahead. Say it. I mean, that's okay. You give it a lot of thought. That's okay. The worst is that it's not right. So what? You're not playing the game. It's been played long time ago. Don't worry about it.
So, like, I wanted to play queen d3, but the knight's free.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that after it takes on d5, queen h4, I take the rook as well too, and then I give up more material. The thing is that.
I wanted to double up on the d5.
So knight f6 makes sense after bishop f5. Okay, if I go rook e8, I think you can just go rook dg1 and then take this pawn. Or maybe I just can go here, no? I cannot touch that pawn on f6, right? You can't touch this. Bishop c3 coming, right? So I take on g4, and once I open the g file, that's game over, right? Can we agree on that? Good. Are we good? Are we good over there, Ben? Good, fantastic. All right. So in the game, you play bishop f5, queen g3, same thing. Queen takes a2. Okay, he created some threats, but then bishop c3. The bishop is beautifully placed here. There's no check or checkmate here, and f7 is a big threat. Or rook h8 and f7. I mean, rook h8 take and then f7 check, and then rook h1 checkmate. I want to go this way. So king f7, king goes for a sojourn, but it's a sojourn. It just ends very fast.
Could you play queen e3 first?
Which move?
Right here, queen e3.
Here, queen e3 first. Rook h8. I don't know if anybody was in my most painful losses on Tuesday night. I mentioned something from an Iranian. He was a PhD, was an Iranian champion, and he stopped playing chess a long time. But he's a very wise man. Pity he died too early. And he said the winning move is not the one. It's not the best move on the board. It's the one that makes your opponent resign. And here, just you have to make your opponent resign. So the good enough is, and I understand, we're talking about the romantic era. It's all about the beauty and the fairy tale and all those things. But also they were thinking about the first prize equivalent of the equivalent first prize of that tournament today would be $33,000. So I mean, I think for $33,000 was a substantial amount of money back at the time. That I mean, even now as well, that they would be a bit more cautious to convert. So he just check and then take the pawn. The mate is coming. They were romantic, but they were not that romantic, as I said. So bishop e4, queen e3, d5, and queen c5. Rook e7 check is coming. Everything is falling apart. Nice victory for Blackburne when at his the person who at his best days in those days, his nickname was Black Death for his lethal attacks, brutal attacks he had. Although the account for this one, I read it somewhere on the internet. So, you know, there's a chess historian named Edward Winter, and he would challenge everyone for the accounts of things they mention. He's a very accurate historian, and he is very bitter toward people when they say things that he considers inaccurate. So if he would attack me one day on this, I read it somewhere and I thought the account was reliable. So just saying, I'm not a chess historian. I like chess history, but I'm not a chess historian. Anyways, so interesting game. But the funny thing is that, so he ended up winning all the matches till the end, and the last match he lost to Rosenthal, and he got caught by Steinitz caught up with him. He won all the other matches, so they both ended up with 10 out of 11. And nowadays they say, this guy beats this guy, so it's the end of the story. This guy wins the tournament. That wasn't the case at the time. They played a rematch, and Steinitz won that one. But I will not cover it tonight. I'll cover it next week. So next one is Zukertort against Blackburne. Zukertort won this tournament with 4 rounds to spare. I think they were playing a double round robin. I think it was 18 players. I'm not sure. I can find a tournament at the end. Just London 1883. You want to see the table first before I show you the game, or first the game and then the table? Your pick.
Wait, did you say that earlier there was a double elimination or double round robin?
The 81 double elimination.
Okay.
The 1851.
Different event.
1851, the first ever chess tournament.
London.
1851.
Okay.
1851, yes. Well, the story is this. All these people came for the London Expo. They had planned for a month, and they came there. They played 3 games, and they were eliminated. I was like, what? I mean, it doesn't make sense. So they thought, okay, next round. First, they're playing for 2 out of 3 wins. Whoever wins 2 out of 3. Then they made it 3 out of. They made it 4 out of 7. Next round, or 3 out of 5, and then 4 out of 7. And then realized, okay, these guys who are losing, they can play for the other places, for the last. So whoever lost in the top 8, they play among themselves for the 5th to 8th. All right, so let me just see this tournament then. Let me see if they have a. Do they have a big database? This is big enough, I think. And I think if I look at the games in 1883, there's a good chance that I don't need more than that. So just 1883. You see, there's only 558 games played in 1883 that is recorded. So, it's London. And if I get the cross table, 22 out of 26. So it's 14 players round robin, double round robin. What's that?
There was an end.
I don't think there should be an NN. Doesn't make sense to me. Oh, anyways, the point is that also I heard that I looked at the tournament's rounds, and Zukertort won 3 rounds. He lost the last 3 games, so he had 22 out of 23, and he lost. And he already, and as you can see, Steinitz finished with 19 points, 3 points behind him. I think he had like 6 points lead or something at the time, or not 5 points, or like outrageous amount of points he had. So he lost the last 3 games actually. Anyways, let's get to see this game. So, and as we see, Blackburne was a big guy at the time. Like he was one of the top players. But is that the game? Yes. C46. That's not so romantic. Romantic era's games are E45, opening positions. Well, wait a few moves. No opening theory. You know that bishop doesn't belong to E2. They should go D4, bishop D3, fight for E4 square. Doesn't matter. I don't think Zukertort cared. I don't think Blackburne was so much into where exactly. They just wanted some position to play. So this D5. Actually, this is now a very common topical position we play. You can either call this one, I don't know. I call it Yusupov system because Yusupov used to play, or reverse Yusupov system because Yusupov used to play this with reverse color with D4, knight F3, E3, B3, bishop E2, and bishop D3. So the idea is to play knight E4, F5 and attack the king side. The rook comes to F6, goes to H6, right? I mean, but there's something missing here. You have to, this bishop is your power. This guy, sorry. You have to, he gives the power to your attack. He maintains this pawn over here, right? So you have to protect him. How do you protect it? A6, yes. This is the way. So you prevent the move knight B5. So this looks obvious, huh? Mm-hmm. Blackburne, one of the top players in the world back at the time, played queen E7. Not a good move, right? So now I can go knight B5. Okay.
But then bishop can always come on B4, right?
Then I take that pawn on C7. Besides, I can always trap the bishop with A3. So I play knight E4, knight takes D6, C takes D6, knight D2, knight DF6. Now, this position wasn't that famous for a long time until Jaworski finds some very, very cunning idea in this position. So we're talking about the romantic chess, romantic era chess, but let's learn about superfluous squares as well. Do you know what superfluous means? It means what, David?
Not needed, superfluous, just
Yeah.
kind of extra.
It's a kind of extra. So what is superfluous? They're not enough superfluous, right? How many knights can you put on e4? They cannot sit on top of each other, right? So in the game, he played f3, but what's that? Yeah, knight b1. That is now it's a known theme. I mean, when you teach chess, I almost use it. Every student of mine have seen this position, the superfluous square. But this was in positional play by Jaworski the first time it was published. So the point is that now you are planning to play f3, knight goes to g5, and then you play h4. If I go h6 so that I have a square for my knight, you go f3 here, and then you can take on d5. And after bishop takes, you can go e4, and you get the center, and you also have two bishops. I mean, you got everything, basically. And if I go e5, the problem is I go f3, knight g5, and now this knight covers this square, so I can go d5, d5. Oops. And exchange. So they didn't complicate the matter. So he went f3, knight takes d2, queen takes d2, d takes c4, bishop takes c4. Now, what's our evaluation here? Besides, in those days, there were no I mean, okay, they had some understanding of the position, of course, but they were not really evaluating the situation. White will put the bishops toward the king, and black tries to play on the c file. But is c file important in this game?
No.
What is important? If you were to neutralize white's advantage, what would you do? What's so important? What's that, Claudio? I cannot hear you. Please louder. Yeah, so what would you try to neutralize in white's position if you were black? Say again?
Your question was how to neutralize
How black would neutralize white's play? What is so important in white's play that you would try to neutralize as black? For example, Ben Simon always, looks very serious. It may not be, but he always looks very serious. To make him laugh, I play videos from Clint Eastwood movies, and he laughs. So that's how he neutralizes his seriousness.
And I said we can't show those.
Yeah, we can't show those. No,
We'll get shut down.
no, we will not do that. No. So how do we neutralize that? How do we neutralize? First, you have to identify what's so important in white's position, and then we try to neutralize it. Any comments?
So it's a black
Nice.
move, right?
It is black to move, yeah. Well, the first one, it makes sense. White is trying to play e4, bishop d3, e4. So you go d5. You lock your, you kind of block your bishop, but also you prevent e4. It's a lot of effort now to play e4 for white. And if white doesn't play e4, there's no attack, right? Because if you go f4 and try to bring the rook, black plays knight e4, done, right? So bishop d3. Now what do we do here? Take your time.
Knight e4.
Take with the pawn.
Oh.
And queen b4 also, very important move. Because if I go rook a e1, besides also, when you go a5, that's a good move. You want to play bishop a6, you want to go queen b4, and if I move my rook, you always have queen b4 and then a4. And you start activity on this side before even white tries to do something. Make sense? Are we good? So in the game, the move rook f8 was played, rook e1. Now even a5 is even stronger because now a4 takes rook a2 is coming. And bishop a6 is a threat. So if I go, for example, this, oops, sorry. Then a4. And then takes and queen comes to b4. Good? So he played rook c7. I think this is a very serious positional mistake. Why is it so? Because look at the c file. Is there any square we can exploit on the c file from black side? The bishop on b2 doesn't look so. Oh, by the way, just I forgot to mention here. Now after rook f8, a4 by white is good, and a5 because you want to go now bishop a3. So that's the good one. So rook c7. Now after e4, rook a8, e5. Now white got the space, right? And he still has his good bishop on the board. And after rook knight e8, he goes f4. And what can black do? Simply nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no square to go. See, all these squares are controlled.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he played g6. Is it a good move? Now, following our the theme of the previous game is a follow up to that one as well. Is this a good move or not? Why?
Because you open the file and if they move the pawn, you take it. You just open.
What was the principle?
There will be a pawn playing in front of you.
That's okay. Basically saying that. That's exactly right. Right. So if you were to push a pawn, which one will you push, Adi?
It wasn't. That was another principle.
So no, say, well, if you were to push a pawn, which pawn will you push? If you were black to push a pawn, f5, yeah, because the game went g6, rook e3, and now he played f5. I mean, h5 with knight g7 was the last chance, and then you try to reroute the bishop to, I don't know, somewhere here and just stay still. Maybe you start moving your king to the center, because now white is trying to build, right, an attack like this, right? So trying to do that, but he played f5. But the thing is, white wouldn't have had an attack had black kept the pawn on g7. Pushing it to g6 now gives white some play. ef6, knight f6. Okay, queen f6 was last chance, but now he's clearly worse. I mean, I can go queen e2 and start building my attack. The funny thing is that even now the advantage is not so clear for white. Only after knight f6 is losing. And why is that? Because we got a hook. Remember we talked about the hook? F5. Now knight e4. Now what's going to happen? Everyone, 5 minutes. From here till the end. So this is the beauty of this game. We will say, okay, the chess in the back at the time wasn't so deep, and they couldn't calculate like we calculate nowadays. Even an average GM can see a lot of things that they were not considering back at the time. But this one is very deep. He calculated the entire thing, Zukertort. So that day his brain was working well. And if I were to give you a hint, I would say, well, I'm going to give you a hint. So to give you a hint, I'll say this is one of the greatest deflections in the chess history. But you have to see the entire line to see the deflection. So I'll give everyone a couple of, not couple, 5 minutes to be fair. And I read again somewhere, if Edvard Winter is going to grill me, that's fine. But I read it somewhere that he made a move while Blackburne was walking. So I thought maybe I can share that piece of information with you.
He made
It's
a move
interesting.
while Black King.
Blackburne, who was playing as black, you see, was walking. Ben, any comments? No?
Well, Slow Learners Chess Club, that's his actual name,
Okay.
said, sack the exchange. And I said, why? You said you're giving them a long time to think. They should think.
Yeah, 4 minutes more.
So
Mhm.
he's elaborated a little bit. Says sack the exchange, rook takes knight,
Okay.
so the queen can go to h6 and open up a menacing attack on the long diagonal. Go for that mate.
Yeah, well, the thing is that where's the mate? I mean, this square has two defenders. I mean, I do this one. Let's put two colors here.
Mhm.
No, you don't get to g7.
Okay, I have one idea.
Say what? What do you think?
Bishop e4, pawn e4, and d5.
Rook c2,
Queen d4.
e5. I get the queen straighted. Adi?
Bishop e4, d4, f6, or
Queen f7.
oh no, if queen f8, oh
No, I will go queen f7, not f8. Any comments, Ben?
Slow Learners Chess Club is really insisting on his previous idea. He's like, no, it's gonna happen. Just press the f pawn forward.
Well, okay. I'm going to play against him. He can tell me his move, and I'll play and show. So rook takes c4. I'm gonna take it back with a d pawn. Then
From his plan, it looked like either f6 now or queen h6 now.
well, either which one. I mean, he can play a move, and I can show.
Okay, f6.
He goes f6, queen f7.
Queen h6.
I take your bishop.
Got nothing.
Claudio, you have some idea? You cannot see through the entire thing. This is a difficult one. This is like, you have to, I believe you have to be 2350, 2400 to solve this puzzle. But the idea, I'm looking for how you are going to undermine Black's king. It's all about Black's king, right? If you're the son, huh?
I'm talking like bishop e3 at the right moment.
Which moment bishop a3?
I don't know, when like,
I mean, your queen is hanging, you understand?
yeah, I know, but not like now.
Well, when? I mean, you first have to address, start with the knight on e4. I mean, that knight is really, really causing some trouble, right? And if you don't do anything about that, Black plays next move, e takes f5, your attack is gone, you're down a pawn. And that knight will dominate the board. So you first have to take care of the knight. What do you think, Ben? What do you think? What's your move?
I don't know what my move would be, but I have more suggestions.
Okay, I'm open to listen.
Okay. Jeff says f takes g6.
When?
I guess now.
Well, then the queen is hanging on d2, just FYI.
We can cast that one aside.
What's that?
We can cast that suggestion aside.
Okay. David, you got a move?
No, I'm still working through the bishop takes e4, pawn takes e4, and then I'm looking, how do you follow that up?
Okay, keep looking.
Yeah.
Cool. I gotta show the answer. So any more comments? Ben?
Nothing that's gonna
Nothing is coming. Okay. So bishop takes c4 is forced. Can we agree on that? It's forced. You have to do that. Okay. It's about this king, right?
Yes.
Pawn takes g6.
Okay.
Now, if I go h takes g6, then I'm going down. Then it's gonna be really bad. After e5, queen g5, and then this is going down. Bishop takes e5, rook f6, h4.
Did you have rook c2? Like d4 rook c2?
That's a good question, actually. I mean, I can take on g7 first.
Take on d2.
I can take, and then rook bishop c3.
Then rook d2.
Okay, probably I get a winning endgame, but that's it. No, it's a mate, actually. Ah, I cannot, no. I thought I have bishop f6 check, but I don't. No, rook f6, king takes g7. But I can take on b7 and then take on e6. I'm up 2 pawns. Or maybe just here I could go queen g5 first.
I have an idea.
What's that? What's your idea?
No, like after
But-
queen g7, I have like something. Like, can you look?
What?
Yeah, like after d5, e5, can you play bishop e5, queen e5, rook g7?
Then I go rook g7.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so far so what the thing is that what about rook c2? Now he took on g takes h7 check, that's good. Now if I take with my king or with the queen, then the king is really exposed. And the checks with the rook is game over. So he played king h8. White played this move d5 check, and black played e5. Now what? This is the great moment in the Romantic era, the greatest moment in the Romantic era. This is the only tactic I know that I give to higher level players for training from that era. And the entire tactic is correct, like there is no flaws in it, there is no mistake in it. Deflection, I said, right?
I thought you could try like rook f8, queen f8, then
You're on the right track.
do something like bishop.
Okay, if you want to go rook f8, but what about this? Wow. Just wow, huh? If queen takes b4, oh, is this a, okay? That's one mate. And if I go here, now checkmate from behind. So let's go back. Where was I? Okay, so queen b4, queen b4. Now black played rook 8 to c5. Now we know we can move the bishop and stuff. Now here comes the romantic part. Maybe if you're in time pressure or something, you will end up, okay, just I move my bishop, I'm winning, I'm taking on e4, and it's gonna be mate, I'm up material. Now it's the romantic era. Second deflection. Now you have to take something. Bishop e5 check, king takes f8, bishop g7 check. If queen takes, back rank mate. If king takes, mate comes in a few moves. Beautiful game, right? Very, very beautiful. Let me just show it to you again. So if queen takes, I go bishop takes e5 check here, and then these three guys will checkmate because these three guys are irrelevant because we said c-file is not that important. And with this, one of the victories he had, he won the tournament, London 1883, with 22 out of 26, where he scored 22 out of 23 the first 23 rounds. And then he played a World Championship match against Who knows what was the result in the first week in New York between Steinitz. Was that he was ahead 4-1, or I think maybe 5-1, something like that.
Yeah.
But then the match got evened in St. Louis, and Zukertort in the last 20 games never won a game, and that was end of his story of life. He died a few years after. Ended in a romantic fashion, huh? Well, thank you guys for joining me tonight. I hope you had fun, and it was quite romantic, I guess. All right. You have a good night. Thank you.